Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We're here to have a panel and talk about the current events that are going on. I hope that as you watch and you listen to what the panel has to say, that you would open your heart and that you would be reflective about what you hear and think about it for yourself. So let's get started.
Yeah, so my first instinct, after watching the video of George Floyd being murdered, it really saddened me, but it also made me so angry and just infuriated. And I was like, how can you just stand there, the three other officers, and just let this man be killed? And the one doing it, obviously it's 4 against 1, and he was already in handcuffs, and it didn't make any sense to me, and it just made me so upset, just along with everyone else. And I don't know, I feel like we all have remembered this, but all the other people who were unjustly killed by police officers or just by racism, and it really has made people stop and think and know that they need to change their hearts and their actions and their behaviors. And so I'm really proud of America and all the people who are protesting and rioting, and kind of like what Brian was saying, we can't put together the looting and the protest, because there's the looting, some of those people don't even know who George Floyd is, and they're just, some of them are white supremacists too, trying to frame black people, and so you can't really equate them. So I don't know, the protesting makes me really happy and excited to see where this will go, and hopefully it'll make a change that people won't forget tomorrow.
I can start. I would think that implicit bias are attitudes and stereotypes that we have towards other types of groups that affect our understandings and our actions and our words towards other people. And I think they're very pervasive. I feel like a lot of people have them, and I feel like they can be either good or bad. But I think it's really important to understand implicit bias when you're talking about racism, because I think that racism a lot of times can be oversimplified. You think of racism and you think of Jim Crow laws, and you think of yelling the N-word. But I think racism really starts with making jokes and microaggressions. And I think that it's really important that we understand implicit bias, because that's that's where it starts.
So just one time, I haven't experienced it that much, but one time when I came back from Africa, we were walking around our neighborhood, and we were going to go meet with some friends that we haven't seen in a while, and a cop car drove past us, and then we turned and we went the other way to go to our friend's house, and the cop car followed us back around and stopped and was looking at what we were doing before they left. And in Metro Market sometimes you get dirty looks, but I mean, yeah, it's not something I would say I don't look for it on a daily basis, so it's not something I can say happens to me daily, but just certain times that I realize what's going on. And more recently, now that it's happened, I just realize it a lot on social media, but also just I've just started to look for it more. When I was a kid, I was super hyper, and so my parents had to have that conversation with me when I was 8 and tell me how I was supposed to be when I'm with the police. I need to be slower, I need to speak slower, and I don't know, I feel they weren't teaching me how to behave around the cops. They were teaching me how to be scared, And so like, I don't know, I've kind of had to learn stuff for myself a little bit about like how I should react towards like the police, but also like I have taken what my parents have said to the heart, like just to be more careful about like how I behave, not just like around police, but around like white people in general, and like how like, I don't know, you have to have like this different face when you're like with white people so that they're not like scared of you, which I think is kind of dumb, but like.
I think for us too, like Tyler said, like we all have implicit biases, so this applies for everyone. I think it's just to first like acknowledge what your biases are and acknowledge that you have them, because I think it can get very scary and be a lot worse if people have the biases and they don't know, and they're doing it without even realizing. And so like, but like how to overcome though, I would say just like get to know people, and that's hard to say, but it can tie back to this like however old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. I know it sounds childish and whatever, but I mean, if you think about it, for example, let's say this movie just came out in theater and I haven't even seen it yet. I'm gonna be like, oh, I hated that movie sucked, that makes no sense. And that's what people do with their implicit biases, not even towards people of color, just for everything in general. But since we are talking about this, I think just getting to know the person, know how they act, things like that, it would help a lot better.
Educate yourself. That's like the big thing. Just educate yourself, because like I just see like not even just white people but like black people too. Like I see them post like stuff on Snapchat that they don't even know what they're talking about, but they'll be quick to say something. And so I think just like educate yourself on what you're like, what you want to know before you start speaking out on it, because I don't know, it can get ugly.
Going off of what you were saying before, like it really irritates me when people say that white privilege doesn't exist, because like the stats, the facts, the history, they all prove it. Like if you look into that, it proves it, you know? And I don't know, it's just so irritating. I told my mom this, but once there was this guy at work, and he's a manager, and we got into this argument, even though, you know, you're not supposed to talk politics in the workplace, whatever. But so he was like, yeah, white privilege doesn't exist. And I was like, it really does. And I was like, I was calm about it, because like you have to be calm as the African American girl.
And employee.
And so I was throwing these facts at him, and he was like, no, but I've had hardships too. And he got angry and he walked out, and I was like, shouldn't I be the angry one? It was just, I don't know, it was so twisted.